journey actually began, I don't know, the journey must have begun in 80s somewhere when I developed this urge.
Would you like to speak into this? No, not really, actually.
Sure.
Yeah, it's on.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, developed this urge to write something based on Banaras. Because that's where I studied and I'm also born very close to the place. But then we were preoccupied with occupation and that we were put in by situations. And that fulfillment happened actually somewhere in 2004 when I actually scripted the Banaras film. And we shot in 2005 and we actually released the picture in 2006. Now that was the first-hand experience with the number of artists, and what was a few things were amazing. One of them was that we are only familiar, and a lot of times we are familiar just with the faces of the stars in the film industry. But it was revealed upon me then that the real artists are actually behind the camera, and I met a number of people really, and then my respect for them grew multiple-fold because they are absolutely exceptional people to work with. The second thing was that I realized that it was to be politically correct, fairly unorganized ecosystem for the I'm being modest about it. And therefore I saw that there was an opportunity, though my film was distributed by some of the top companies like Sony and VMS, and Zara took the rights for the television, and so all the big companies, and Excel was doing our DVDs. But the whole process, that was the end result, but the process was quite complicated. And the number of agencies, number of things that you have to deal with was not easy at all. Another thing we learned that to sign the top 5 artists was possibly the easiest. You have the money, you can sign them off in a few days' time, if you go to the right connections. The problem happens that next 25 artists, you don't even know where to start and whom to fit. And we saw that to be a beginning of opportunity. The second thing we saw that also as time moved, we began to see the emergence of internet and the electronic media also coming into different shape on your iPads and also iPhones and all the Androids and Symbians and so on. And then the Wi-Fi and 3G cards, 4G weapons. Then clearly there was a role technology could play to bring about a new ecosystem for artists who not necessarily to be discovered had to run away from their place and get stationed in Mumbai, but they should be able to pursue their art and craft from wherever they are. So that's how the origin of Tumbhi came about, saying that let's create an ecosystem for not just the film industry, for actually point of view change, saying that for the artists. Now if you talk about artists, then you're talking about a number of art categories. And I think details you will find, and you're most welcome to visit the site tumbhi.com, and you will see all the art categories and so on. And of course, initially, as the technology is evolving, as the connections are happening, it's moving, accelerating with that pace. But frankly, we are quite unique in the country as of now. There are people who are either serving the film industry, or serving kind of looking at songs, or looking at the kind of artists, or looking at this, whatever. They are all focused on one thing. But we said that's not our job. One incidentally so happened that the films are consumers of a variety of arts. So वो संगम जो होता है कलाकारों का वो फिल्मों में होता है. It just happens to be. So it's not that consciously we are just trying to be in films. No. But one of the biggest consumptions obviously are advertising agencies and corporates through the agencies, plus also the film industry. Now film industry, obviously, I think I don't think I can, because I can put Mahilanti to produce films. That was not the objective. But we wanted to create a platform where we can bring in number of younger generation artists and give them the mentors who could help them craft basically train them and become really professionals. So it is in that context that we sought some stalwarts from the industry, and some of my connections were there who very readily agreed, because I trust they had good experience, at least with me, and we had treated them up strictly professionally. So they all remain. In fact, later on Pankaj Parashar also is joining us here. So all of them remain friends. So quite a few, in fact, the cameraman joined by board, and then we approached Anurag Kashyap basically, because he number one reason was because he was experimenting with non-stops. Number one reason. Number two, he seemed to be a change agent, because he was not afraid to experiment. And third, because of those two, the youth were connecting with him very well now. And this connection happened almost, I think we launched 1.5 years back, something like that in Mumbai. And we announced making of 6 short films using Anurag Kashyap and his teams. So first experiment we did, basically we ran a competition on Tumbhi, and that's what we are trying to now. You will be able to see what we are trying to do now. And in future we can go to a producer and offer that entire service. What you're saying is that the biggest problem for a professional producer is choosing a story, a script, going further down now. Most of the time, I think you're all well aware, the box office they fail because there's no story. They're written by anybody. As Shadi was telling, that in film industry one thing is there: you can write your father's name, then you're a writer. And they will very happily come and correct your script. The stories are young ones. So that's the stage, because writing is somebody, So that's the background we are talking about. So we ran a script competition, and we were actually very pleasantly surprised to the tune of almost getting shocked. Surprised because we got 6,500 entries on script of short films, but shocked because somebody had to go through 6,500 scripts, which we didn't have the kind of at that time. So we all spent time, we top people, but we went through every script. We also have Pankaj Shukla, he's a journalist, and today he couldn't join us. Brought up here fraternity, he used to be made in the editor, and right now he's TV9. So he's also totally associated. In fact, he put us on to his shop. And so everybody is playing a role, and frankly, very selflessly. It's all being done to promote that. Because what we are saying, that the way we have struggled, especially in the art world, I think let us make it easier for people who have the talent and nurture them and place them now. So the 6 short films were done. Number of artists were already, in fact, in the who were in the reservoir of Anurag, and they had not done any films. And you will see, actually, in fact, I think 5 major artists who have now become stars in Wasipur. They have featured actually in the short films that we created, but it was created much earlier than that. So I will give you the names. I think I can give you the names here. And so they're not necessarily discoveries of, but certainly it was the first kind of major camera-facing event for them. And one of the movies which was really the first, which we were able to send it to Los Angeles Film Festival, won the Grand Jury Award over there. And I don't know whether we have time to show it, but certainly I think at the end of the event we are showing the film. It was also another film called Sujata, where Huma Qureshi, who is the a big find of the think she's actually heroine of that film. And so we have Huma Qureshi, who plays the lead role in that movie. We have Satya Anand, who acts basically that politician, if you have seen the Wasapur, that MLA, the son of the antagonist. So, and then Richa Chadda, who is the wife of our protagonist, and then Vineet Singh, who is the first son of who dies during the Wasapur too. So you can see that they are recognizable faces now, and they already have accolades actually in form of these films being produced before now. So that's one part of it. In addition to that, then we got very encouraged, and of course became very cautious also. Then we ran a photography competition, and we got even more short, 14,000 entries we got, which is just about short from National Geographic Award, who get about 24,000 in their annual competition. So it's quite large. And we got entries from 135 countries. Even for the script, we got entries from all over the world, and almost 60% entries came from India, 40% entries came abroad. So even foreigners are included in the script for us. And then, so that we did. And finally, I think a number of winners were even from abroad. So we don't differentiate. So it's cutting across now nations also. So initially, the thought of that could address only to diaspora. That's not really true. The medium is one that cuts across, and there's no limitation. I think it will become a mainstream in the future, as we see it now. Then we ran a competition actually when with Shahji formally talked to whether he would just be a jury to review the entries, and we ran basically a poetry competition, and we had about 4,500 entries.